Welcome to another episode of Under the Barbell Strength podcast. I'm your host, Colton Haynes, and if this is your first time tuning in, we'd love for you to follow and subscribe. Feel free to leave us a comment with any questions or topics you'd like for us to cover. The purpose of this podcast is both educational and an opportunity to showcase some incredible coaches I've had the privilege to meet throughout my journey in the strength and conditioning world. I think listeners will enjoy the diverse range of guests who will share their experiences in coaching, enhancing athletic performance, nutritional strategies, speed training, and exploring the mentality of being a strength coach. By uncovering the weight room philosophies and strategies that make these strength coaches successful, you'll gain valuable principles to elevate your own team's performance. So join us as we grow together one conversation at a time. Today's guest is Coach Dukehart at the University of West Alabama. Coach Dukehart started his career playing at Hope College in Michigan, where he earned his bachelor's degree and later a master's degree at Western Michigan University in 2019. Coach Dukehart's prior stops includes Bowling Green State, Alada High School, Lima High School, Miami University in Ohio, University of North Carolina, and University of Kentucky, where he was turned into a paid assistant. Coach Dukehart's first job was at Northwest Oklahoma State and is now currently the Director of Strength and Conditioning at University of West Alabama. Coach Dukehart holds his CSCS, RPR, and USAW Level 1 certifications. Coach Dukehart is also getting married in May to Hallie. Congrats and welcome to the show, Coach.
Nice to have. I'm glad to be here.
So talk about your paid internship and how you turned to a head coach. What was that experience like?
Man, so at the University of Kentucky, obviously I had a bunch of stops before that. And I was kind of in that do or die mentality at that point. Like, I got to get a job out of this, just working for free for so long. So when I went to the University of Kentucky, I just really attacked it like I was trying to be an assistant. And within that, I was able to, day one, just start coaching, doing what I can to kind of help the team and show that I had value to them. And it worked out really well. They found ways to keep me around for a while. And I was there until I was 25. I was getting close to that 26, needing insurance and, real life stuff. So when I got to that point, I was looking for things. I got a call from the head football coach at Northwestern Oklahoma State, Matt Walter. We met at AFCA convention, came down the next week, coached on my interview, and I just said, this is the spot I need to be. So kind of taking it over, it was an awesome experience, but at the same time, made a lot of mistakes, had no idea what I was truly doing. But I think any young coach, they have confidence, they believe they're great at what they do, and went into the situation and just try to find a way to make them better. So when we went to that, University of Kentucky was big on speed training, power training, and really developing athletes. At that point, there were 2 stars, 3 stars, and going to have to compete against the Georgias and Alabamas, and they were able to do that. And so I took a lot of what I kind of learned there, and I had to find a way to do it on, basically no budget, no help in the room, and trying to figure out kind of what works at other levels. So during that time, we had to figure out, even how to run a group. When I got there, we had 6 racks, 6 platforms, and we would have 40-some kids in the room. Okay, and I realized, hey, this probably isn't conducive to winning. When I got there, 100 guys on the team, and 80 of them meatheads, love to lift, love to get after it. So when I went in, the whole idea was, hey, I need to adjust from this weight room oriented to, we got to find some field stuff. We got to find a way to get better at football. And so we started implementing speed training. The way we did it, we have morning runs. So we're trying to coach technique with 100 guys out there. And then I got coaches, trying to make sure, hey, are we still getting the team aspect? Are we still getting the mental toughness aspect? That was a difficult part, trying to get them to understand where I'm coming from, that, my head coach was a strength coach. He was at New Mexico State before he started getting into football. He was the head strength coach over there. So his views from strength and conditioning is from early 2000s. And so that's what they did. And so I'm trying to get him to let me, change the program, adapt things, move it forward. And eventually we got there. It was a good situation. The biggest thing that happened, I guess good and bad, is COVID happened 4 weeks after I got there, 5 weeks after I got there. So I went from trying to get these guys ready for spring ball, training them, to essentially having no one on campus, not really even knowing these kids all that well because you just haven't seen them. I haven't been around them enough. So, I spent that time calling our kids, talking to them, not even just talking training, but just who are you? What are you about? Like, where do you come from? What are you trying to accomplish? So that time was good. It kind of helped me evaluate and grow as a coach as well. And then obviously COVID came, and when we came back to school, the whole situation was completely new. I'm trying to figure out how to do it as a first-time strength coach. Everyone else is in the same boat because they've never dealt with a global pandemic either. So it was a lot of growth kind of through what we were doing. I think we got into that next season, we were faster. We had some good things happen, but we also had a lot of players kind of decide that they didn't want to play football anymore. A lot of good players. So our record didn't show what we wanted. My head coach looks at it as, well, he's a young coach. We need to go back to doing the hard stuff. So started doing hell weeks, 5 a.m. runs, just kind of the standard stuff again. And it didn't help us too much, to be honest, but it was a way to kind of adapt and grow. But just through that process, like realizing I'm not alone, like I got mentors, I have a lot of people out there that can kind of help me navigate some of those issues. How to, even just form groups and make sure that we're doing rack assignments and those types of things. And then obviously bringing in interns and GAs to kind of help us grow the program and get coaching eyes out there. But yeah, no, it's definitely an experience that I'm thankful for. It's helped me get to where I am, but was definitely a difficult situation.
For sure. And you had experience in the high school level. How did you find yourself at Kentucky? How did you apply? Did you know somebody? Talk about how you got to that level.
Solely applied. I had a couple of internships. Actually, coming out of Miami, Ohio, I was supposed to go. Had a conversation with them, and then I didn't hear anything. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go down to North Carolina, hit the Olympic side, and kind of just see how they win championships, like what they do and how they do it. And on my way down, the intern director called me. He's like, hey, you want to come up? I was like, man, I would, but I'm already going down here. So I called him back in the summer. It was, hey, I'm looking for something. Interested in coming there. I'll find a way to get there. And we rocked and rolled. And really, during my time there, we had squads of interns that came through, and we actually had great guys come through. Guys that left to be head strength coaches, group of 5 assistants, Power 5 assistants. One guy's in the NFL right now. We really kind of bonded together, grew together, and pushed each other to kind of go get that next level.
So what made you stay on for so long as an intern? You talked about different squads coming in. What made you want to stay on?
Man, and not many people know him, but the director, Corey Edmond, and Mark Hill is the head strength coach over there. The knowledge they have, the understanding they have, and just the way they go about it, it's like, it was special. I've seen a lot of places. I've moved around. I communicate with people trying to figure out what's going on, and I just loved what they had. I loved how they did it. They gave me freedom to kind of stay within their program, but coach, and that's what I kept seeing. So I'd get some other opportunities for, another paid internship or a GA. And I was like, well, I'm already, almost done with my master's, right? I decided to go intern instead of get a GA spot, and happy with it. I think I learned a lot. But as I was going through interviews with schools, it's like, okay, we do all this velocity-based training, or we're all scientific on this side. Well, I'm not a big scientific guy. I think it's important. I think there's things you can get from it. But if all we're doing is coaching an iPad, I don't want to be a part of that program, right? Or, hey, like, we're old school, like, we're going to go 3x10, 4x10, and work our way through linear progression, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to run gassers and 110s. Like, I don't want to be a part of that. So I really chose to kind of be a little more picky when I was looking for jobs. And if I wasn't interested in what they did, I was like, okay, I'm going to stay here. I mean, I was making a little bit of money. I didn't have any real responsibilities at that point, so I just stayed and grew.
Got you. And you go from Kentucky to your next school, Division II school, not talking about the athletes, but what was the biggest differences and commonalities that you had to face?
Man, to be honest, if anyone's ever been out to Alva, Oklahoma, there's a whole bunch of nothing within about 2
I've been
hours,
there, yeah. We played y'all
right? So I go from being a big city to this. I mean, we had Walmart, but that's about it. Just a change in kind of the culture. Obviously, you have kids that want to be there and love the sport and want to grind. But, I mean, you look at the budget aspect. When I came in, I was technically a booster hire for the first year. And then they put me on to the school salary. And so going through that, I mean, it was essentially a new position. We had zero funding in terms of being able to buy equipment. We had no help, no intern program, no GA program. So anytime I had to go buy equipment, I mean, I was nervous because I knew they were going to say no. But, I mean, I'm trying to buy $400 worth of bands, and I'm just like, please, like, we'll find any way. Like, what if I got to talk to boosters, I'll talk to boosters. And I feel like that was a huge issue for it. And then eventually I just found out, hey, if I asked for $12,000 worth of equipment, I might be able to get 4,000, right? So I just started throwing stuff. Hey, we need this. Hey, I need a GA. Like, are we any way we can get a work study? And just started building it that way. We had no nutrition when I first got there, and we were able to raise about 25,000, start that program, and to get things rolling. And just, I think, having to do other parts of things. I mean, at Kentucky, and again, going from being essentially an intern to a head guy, you're not in all these meetings where you're hearing the coaches talk about players and figuring things out. I show up on a day, I set up the weight room, and I coach my butt off, and I go home. So now it was, well, we're talking about each player, like, this guy needs to develop. This kid's having issues in school. We have to do something here. So, like, just being a little bit more involved, trying to figure out kind of where you can help and how you can help. And you end up putting a lot of time into it, and not just on the football side. I mean, you're coaching 12 teams at the D2 level, and how do we get all these teams into the weight room around the schedules that we have and that stuff. I mean, it was real different, especially, class schedules as well. Everything is essentially based on class schedule in the D2, where FCS or FBS, you can get everyone to take online classes. Everyone can be in the facility when we want them in, get them out when we want them out.
Now, you were a head strength coach. Did your previous experiences prepare you for all the administrative stuff that you'd have to go through?
Absolutely not. No. I
Give
think
us some tips too, for people that could be stepping into those roles.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you go into something, again, I think you look at it from a different way. And I'm a pretty intellectual guy, so when I'm in these different programs like Miami of Ohio, I'm deciding what I like and what I don't like. When I go to University of North Carolina, I'm looking and I say, okay, I really like how they do this. I don't love this, right? So just adjusting and kind of just making plans as you go is key. I think looking and say, well, if I was in this situation, I'd never do that. Well, what would you do? Because I think it's easy to just say, I'm not going to do that, but what's the right answer? And so I think I went a lot and just kind of just dissected that. I think with COVID happened, it helped me a lot because I had from March until August to really kind of figure things out and decide what are my standards. And this is the other thing I think is people have their standards for the weight room, right? And we see on a lot of teams, okay, you have your standard there. Your softball team has a different standard. Your basketball team has a different standard. Shoot, even in football, your offense and defense might have different standards, right? And so everyone is looking at these important things and saying, okay, this needs to be it, this needs to be here. But in the grand scheme of things, the weight room has to have a connection to what those sports coaches are saying. And that's what I started to realize. And so I brought it up to my head coach, hey, we need to figure out how to bring the team together or how to get what we're saying in the weight room, what you're saying as the head coach and what the offense and defense coordinator is saying. We got to get it all connected. And obviously everyone can have a little bit of flair on their side of things, but what is it? So we're looking at effort. Like everyone wants the same things, but how we say it and the verbiage you use matters, right? And so as I was going through it, I started learning that, okay, I need to make this happen. So now when I go to another school and I'm seeing a disconnect somewhere, we're able to nip it and say, okay, this is what they're saying, this is what we're saying. It's the same thing, but it's different. We got to make sure it's all connected and it's all one. But I think that's the key is really just trying to go in and say, hey, like, we are a united front. Those coaches are really here to help you, even if it's not necessarily coaching or anything like that. And I think the other thing is just trying to help kids understand just why we're doing what we're doing, the purpose behind it, and trying not to put down the last strength coach or say, hey, well, we're doing this. I don't know why you would do that. It's like, no, they built you up to this. Now I don't have to worry about that. So now I'm moving you to this next level. It's created a lot of buy-in, because if you start talking bad on that old strength coach, a lot of times they had that same relationship they're going to have with you. They had it with them. So you just have to make sure, you're moving the right way and really just trying to combine everyone, because at the end of the day, we're the ones in the street. We're the ones that hear everything that's going on, and we have to make sure that everybody is on the same page.
Yep, and so you're at Northwest Oklahoma, right? And you find your right-hand man. And you moved to West Alabama. Tell me about the process of bringing them on with you, and then talk about your staff as well at West Al.
So actually, when I was at Northwest, I had a GA come in. His name was Colton McDonald, and he did a really good job for me. When I was leaving, we had the conversation of, I want to come out with you, like, I don't really want to work for somebody else. I'm like, yeah, you're about to get the head job here, bub. Like, it's time for you to step up and start to learn how to run this. So he ended up staying. And it was just, I think, a bad situation for him. So he ended up getting out of the game. But my assistant here, Alex Aaron, he was actually a player for us. And we brought a connection. I mean, he was a guy you go in the weight room and he can do everything. He can jump 40 inches, clean 365, squat 500, bench 315 at 170 pounds. Like, he was just the overall athlete and just loved to be around it. So we brought him in as an intern, helping with like our young freshman group in the summer, some of our basketball teams, and just helping him get connections. So when I came to West Alabama, it was a February, so everything was being ran by some GAs, and they just got their first full-time assistant. She only worked on the Olympic side. So when I kind of came in, the GA that was here applied for the job, didn't get it. So he was like, yeah, I don't want to stay any longer. Like, after this semester, I'm gone. The other GA that we had here, she ended up getting a job at Austin Peay. And so she moved on. So it was me and the assistant. I was going to bring Alex in as a GA. And so we're rolling, and I mean, we're getting close to the end of summer. And Katrina, she's like, well, I got this job opportunity to be at William Penn as the director of strength and conditioning. She's like, I don't know if I'm going to take it. Why won't you take that? Like, you're going to make double the money. You're going to be ahead. Like, it's a great opportunity. So she ends up taking that. It was her alma mater. So we were able to kind of do a search, and I wasn't sold on necessarily making Alex the full-time assistant, but just talking kind of through the candidates we had and who was trying to come here. I just looked and I'm like, man, this kid hits the weaknesses that I have. He has strengths there. And so it was a no-brainer for me. I was able to bring him in, and man, he's done an awesome job. He travels with our men's basketball team, our softball team, and tennis team. They do a great job with those sports too. Like, they need a lot, especially with like our basketball program. So with them, basketball loves lifting until it gets the season, and then it's, well, we're running out of time here and here, right? So he actually goes to the gym probably twice a week to get some sort of lift or some sort of movement aspect in with them. He just thinks outside the box to figure it out. Our tennis team, we've probably seen them in the weight room 4 times last semester. But, like, if you go out and see them, they look more athletic. They're able to move laterally and do things that they weren't able to do before, because he's just found other ways to train them and kind of works with them. And then I have 2 other GAs, so we're blessed to have 4 here. And I think that allows us to do a lot of special things. But Courtney Goitz, she actually just got her CSCS today, so she'll be looking for a job pretty soon. She graduates in May. She came from Colorado State. And actually, I fought to get her here because, again, I think that she filled in a gap that I had. So she was a dancer, never an athlete. So I was like, okay, I'm not a great stretcher. You know, I'm a big guy. I play football. Like, that's just not what we do. And so she was able to come in, one, be a female voice within our room and in our area. So she helped us kind of hit a niche that sometimes you can't hit, not only in football but our other sports. Like with football, like we have certain kids that just don't listen to males, struggle with having a loud voice come at them. So we can put them with her, and she does a great job of developing them. My other one is Jordan Glenn. He came from West Alabama, bounced over to, I think he interned at Alabama State and then Mississippi State. And all we were looking for is I'm trying to find people that understand the work ethic. Because, again, when you're GA and every other GA on campus works 20 hours a week, gets their classes paid for, and gets a stipend. My coaches are working 60-hour weeks. You know, they have awful hours. They have to understand that, you know, it's work, but we're not going to lower our standard to make this, you know, whatever, a lower level. Like everyone, we're trying to make it as D1 as possible. We're trying to give them every resource possible. And so the coaches I have, man, they make my dreams a reality. Anytime I come in, I'll look at them and I'll be like, let's try something today. Okay. And come on. But they're going to do it. They're going to find ways to make that next level happen.
For sure. So you had all these experiences hiring them and bringing them in. What, in your mind, makes a great strength coach?
I think every coach, especially a young coach, they're going to have one thing. They're going to know programming really well. They're going to be a great coach on the floor, or they're going to be great at relationships. And whichever one they are, that's good. We have to develop the other pieces. And so anytime we come in early on, we go through a evaluation. So after their first month, I see them, okay, this is what I need you to work on. And everyone's different. And typically, they all came in at the same time for me. So we would actually evaluate each other as well. And then they would evaluate me because I want to get better. And I feel like sometimes as a head guy, it gets hard because they look at you as their boss. They can't say too much one way or the other, but I want to develop too. So we talk through that stuff. And then kind of as we go, it's like, okay, I'm watching them in their groups. Hey, I think you should do this different. Or, hey, you should do this. Or, hey, you need to be better at programming or preparing for what you got coming up instead of waiting until 2 days before that next block happens and then creating a whole template. So just understanding what your weakness is and not being afraid to go attack it. Everyone's going to be good at something. But can you be good at everything, or how good can you get at these other things? So I think always just trying to find kind of what you're missing. I think the other piece too, especially for young coaches, is when the way that things are now, right? Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, like they can go on there and they can see anything and everything they want to see. But what they see is no one's going to put just a back squat on there. Like, no one's going to put just the basic stuff that makes an athlete good. They're going to show the fancy band stuff. They're going to show the crazy med ball. Like, and they're like, oh, that will work really well for my team. Or that will. And I always just question, like, why? What is the purpose? What is going to get them where you need to go? And if they can't explain that, they don't need to put it in the program. And so I think that, they get talked to a lot. They get probably put down twice a week, 3 times a week by me, just always trying to raise that standard for them. And I know that, you know, ideally do they love it? No, but every time they know they're getting better. And that's the key is when you can't handle that anymore and you can't take that tough coaching from somebody, you probably don't want to be in this field anymore.
So talk about your foundation and your philosophy about programming.
Okay, so we're coming from Ohio. I gotta have a little conjugate in there. So we like to follow that. Again, I'm speed oriented, and I think you have to find ways to allow your speed training and your weight room training to coincide and create a true program, right? Because a lot of times people run their run stuff and their speed or their strength stuff is almost two different things. So as we go into things, I'm always just looking at what our team needs. Like, what are we looking for? What are we trying to accomplish? So like I said at Northwestern, we were strong. I need to get them faster. And so that's what we focused on, and we created a program around it. So anytime we come out of a break, I'm looking at our team and deciding what our numbers look like. Right now, we got a young team. We lost 30 seniors in the football aspect. So, it hurts. And then a couple of our younger guys, hit the portal and got better opportunities and took those. So when we're coming in, I don't think we have a huge, love for the weight room. Like, we have a handful of guys, but just where they come from and what we're about, we're not. They love football. They're good at football. So when I came in, originally it was, hey, we got to get stronger. These guys couldn't snatch a bar over their head without it getting dangerous for someone around them. A lot of our guys were extremely weak in their squat, and I want to say we probably had one guy that could bench over 365 when I got here. And I'm okay, the weight room has to be the priority. So we attacked that. We got them stronger. And then as we go, we kind of just adjust. So in our off season this year, we're going 5 days a week, okay? And a lot of people look at that and like, daunting, too much, but we go high-low, just like most people do. The difference that we do, and just what I kind of saw last year, was we're going Monday as a low. And most people want that as a high because they're coming off the weekend. For us, it's kids don't stay on campus. So everyone's going home, doing their own thing. Most of the time, they're going to drive in to go to their first lifting session. So when we come off the weekend, we're bad. It's just a waste of a day. So I said, okay, we're going to go low here. We're going to get a little bit of blood flow. We're just going to try to rejuvenate the body and prepare, right? Because when we talk about recovery and blood flow and all that, at the end of the day, we're trying to create performance, right? So if we have that day to set them up and prep them for the week, that's going to make us better. So we're going then Tuesday, we'll hit an acceleration day, and we're going to focus on like our single leg work in the weight room, a little bit of vertical pressing. Then we'll go Wednesday, it'll be a recovery. And that's where we'll start getting kind of that contact prep stuff in, med ball work. Just trying to get them, continue to roll and be able to finish the week strong. When we hit Thursday, that's going to be our change direction. And a lot of our change direction, we're going to put them in open space and just let them go play. Let them move and let them get used to being in their position, because, again, we start spring ball so quickly. We got to make sure they're ready to go. And it's not we're coming out there and looking bad. So then our Friday, we're going to hit our top speed work. We're going to squat, and we're going to, get anything left. We're going to make sure we get that on that day. And then, get them out. And then as we get into it, we'll go 3 days during the spring ball. We'll hit 2 of our high days on like those meeting days. And then that third one, we'll switch between our bigs, mids, and skills after practice. The blessing we have here, though, we get like 4 more weeks after spring break. So when we come in, we're actually hitting a power phase to begin with. So we'll power phase, make sure that they stay kind of healthy. They're not going to get too beat up. And then at the end, we're going to go hit that max strength and really start to push the weight before they take a break for summer.
So being a newer strength coach, how do you get the buy-in for these athletes?
Man, I think you have to be real. I think you have to be yourself. I am an abrasive person by nature and just who I am. And that's been a struggle for me. To be honest, I'll go places and again, certain guys will love it. Other guys won't. But I think it's finding that conversation and trying to find that belief that, hey, I'm your coach, and I'm a bridge between coaches, though. I'm not the 50-year-old OC. We can have conversations, It's got to lead to a certain point. But, when I first got here, it was a struggle. One, I've never been in the Deep South before. I'm coming in. It's February. We're getting ready for spring ball. And my only thought process is I got to make sure these guys are ready to go. And so in my mind, I'm not worried about, am I making friends? Is these guys okay with me? I'm saying, hey, this is what it takes. I explain it to them, and then we go do it. Well, it didn't go well. Some of the guys, struggle with it, and learning and understanding me. And as we go and as we continue, like I said, the summer I think is huge, especially in the D2 where they're gone and you might not see them till August. I call all our guys once a week. And that's something a lot of people won't do. When they get their time off, they get their time off. But I just schedule, hey, I'm going to give 15 to 30 minutes to each guy once a week. Give them a call. If they don't want to answer, they don't want to answer. But we're going to talk, and I don't even ask them about training. Most of the time, they'll bring that part up, and we can discuss whatever they want. But, man, I'm talking to them about what's your childhood look like? What's your family look like? Who are you closest with within your family so I can have an idea of how to coach you better? Just trying to understand, like, where their mind goes, right? Like, if you're the youngest or you're a kid that comes from a bunch of females in your family, you're going to be the baby. You've done nothing for yourself your whole life, majority of the time. You know, you're going to be the oldest. You're going to feel like you're more mature. You don't get everything you're supposed to get. You know, your middle child's going to say that they've been left out and they're not loved. And, you know, so we can play to the psychology of what they are and who they are as a person, but we can also help work them through some of those hardships and kind of their perception of what they've been through and how things have went. But that's what I just talked to them. When I got here, I would just bring a guy in after every lift and just have a 10-minute conversation. Who are you? Where'd you come from? Were you good last year? Like, what are your goals this year? Being able to just adjust that stuff. And I think a large majority of guys figure out and see that, dang, this training's good. Like, you're about it. Like, you hold standards. Guys don't love standards, right? Like, they don't really want it, but deep down, they want it because they know that's what they need to be successful. So I just always hold that, and you can ask any of my guys, like, I will hold that till I die. I will hold the standard till I can't anymore. And when I can't, it's time for me to go.
For sure. And so talk about the culture now that y'all have at West Alabama.
Our culture, I think within our weight room, all comes from our football coaches. My head coach, Coach G, is the guy. We talk culture, we talk brotherhood, we talk about the things without it always being about culture, right? Like, everyone says, well, this is our culture, we define it, and we have to live by it, right? And we do that. We define our things, and we make sure they understand what it is. But what Coach G does differently is everything he talks about is about the culture, right? So when we're talking about things, he'll bring up stories about something, and he won't even relay it back to the team sometimes or about us. But you know it's about us, and you can see the kind of comparison between what he's talking about and what we're trying to do here. I mean, we preach relationships. We preach trying to get them together. I think the other piece is, like, in our summer, like, we get our guys together. Where we are, like, again, pretty much middle of nowhere. Most of our guys go home. When I first got here, we went 4 days a week. In the summer, this year, we went 5. But it was so, hey, like, everyone's coming in the weight room for our low days, and then afterwards, the field's open. The opportunity is there, and it wasn't biased. We set it up, like, created kind of the guidance, right? But at the end of the day, our leaders had to take leadership and take that opportunity to go and say, hey, we want to get 7-on-7 in. Hey, O-line, D-line, we want to work some steps. We want to work through some mobility stuff, be able to bend the corner. Like, I think you just had to put that in, but our guys are awesome. I mean, do we fight sometimes? Absolutely. It's not all just butterflies. Like, there's days our guys don't want to train. There's days guys come in with bad attitudes. But at the end of the day, those conversations, and that's what I tell our coaches too, is like, when our kids are coming in, we're not sitting down. We're not just hanging out in the office waiting until it and then go out. We're trying to be out there 15 minutes early, conversating, talking. So if they do need to get something off their mind, they can do that. But our coaches are coached to bring them back to football at the end of the day. And, hey, let's attack this. We can deal with this school issue later. We can talk more about your mom after this. Like, let's find a way to grind because that's what she wants you to do, right? And so we have kids that just, they want it. And it's been really good. I mean, we're blessed this year to have a really good year. And, again, I think it does come down to culture. I think it does come down to working hard. And, you know, we got lucky too. I mean, we got blessed with some good calls, and, you know, everything just kind of works out. But it just seems like when you're living right, you've created that culture, the things just seem to fall in place for you.
For sure. And so off season starts Tuesday. What's your plan going into that?
Man, we're going into a power phase, and it's something I found from Boosh Schexenegger. He's a track guy at LSU. He just talks a lot about trying to get that in. The way I kind of do it, we've adapted a little bit. So we're going to sprint. We're going to get him conditioned. But within our weight room, we're going to put bands on things and move things fast. We're going to start at a low percentage. And really, like, it just, when I was in college, we didn't have a strength coach, right? So we go in, and it's 5 by 10 on everything. All 12 exercises, 14 exercises. And you just have to go get it. And I felt awful. You know, like, did we end up being something? Absolutely. Like, we were strong. We were everything you needed to be. But, like, it wasn't smart training. It wasn't safe training. So we put bands on things, and then we'll take it off for, like, an AMRAP to get a little bit of volume at the end. But it allows us, like, hey, you've been working. You're going to see some power increase. Like, we're going to see some changes. If you haven't been working, it's going to be capacity work for you at the end of the day, because your central nervous system isn't going to be able to fire and do the work the way we want it done. That's okay, but we'll get you there. So, we bring in 15 to 20 JUCO kids. Most of the time, that's just work capacity. But it's going to be way better for them to do that than to try 4 by 10 at 60% or 50%. Like, they're just going to be taxed. So as we go through that, we got 4 weeks, and then we'll start spring ball. So we just got one block of that. As we get into spring ball, we tailor it a little bit to what we got going on. So when we get to our scrimmages, we're going to try to make sure they feel good, but we're still trying to get 2 good, solid days of lifting in. So when we do those, we're getting into our strength stuff, starting to push. And then when we come back from spring break, we'll have a 4-week, 4-day session where we're pushing the max strength, getting in some of those like cow deets, supersets with, jumps and squats and all that stuff to try to really push some French contrast and to get them kind of where they need to be going into off-season or the summer feeling real confident. And then from there, kind of when they come back from the summer, we look at all their numbers, right? And we say, as a D lineman, does he squat enough? Yes or no? If it's no, okay, he needs to get more strength. Is he too small? Okay, we're going to put him in a hypertrophy phase. I got a D lineman that squats 650 pounds, benches 400. Like, I don't need him to get any stronger. We're good. We're going to work on some power development stuff. We're going to work on some athleticism stuff and do some of that, the unique training that you can see out there for some of those elite guys. So we start to adapt that when we get into the summer. But our spring, we're just trying to get what everyone else is, bigger, faster, stronger. And we try to push the weight in terms of weight gain, weight loss. We try to push a pound a week, give them the opportunity to get their proteins, PB&Js, all that stuff. And then, if they don't do it, we'll go pick up trash at the cafe and let everyone know that you didn't make your weight that week.
Now, your bigs and skills separated?
We'll do a little bit. So obviously with running, like, our skill are going to have to get a lot more running. But as we get kind of closer to spring ball, the bigs are more on like prowlers, slower strength type runs. When we get in the weight room, as we get closer, it does. But typically, we'll do some small things like my bigs aren't going to do a ton of pull-ups, right? They're going to get some in, but then we're also going to give them a secondary row. If we're doing some sort of bench, every now and again, just to kind of help them out, we'll do some, single-arm dumbbell with our skill guys versus, the barbell or the multi-grip bars. Just try to give different stimulus to different guys, but it's going to be somewhat the same. So kind of how we run our sessions is we have a standard like Excel sheet. Each of our coaches will have 4 on the floor during football, and we'll have 30-ish guys in the room. So each guy is given to a coach, and that coach has their development in mind for the whole semester. So whenever they're not getting where they need to, there's a discussion being had between me and their coach. And then if we can't figure something out, we're going to talk to the athlete. But if I got a kid that needs to get bigger, okay, we're going to add just a couple reps. So like a lot of our skill guys right now are small. So we're going to try to add some there. A lot of our bigs typically got to lose a little bit of weight and get stronger, right? So we're going to put them through just changing rep schemes just a little bit to add whatever they need in order to be successful. But overall, like, our program is going to be relatively the same for everyone. Quarterbacks will get something different. Specialists, when we get close to spring ball, they'll get something a little bit different. And then, bigs and skill every now and again, we'll just, change some things up. But overall, the program's the program for everybody.
So summertime, can you explain that?
Yeah, so our summer, again, it's voluntary D2, right? So we try to push for guys to get up here. It's not always a guarantee. So really our goal is, to me, I think if we try to hit like why we do things the way we do, if I try to hit power phase at the end and then they go May and June without doing anything, we've wasted all of that, right? But if we focus on that max strength and just that strength phase at the end, we're going to be able to maintain that a little bit longer. And when we see the drop off, it's not going to be as severe as opposed to like a power phase at the end. So that's kind of why we do that there. We pull back on the running quite a bit during that time. We'll probably run 2, maybe 3 times a week, and one of those will probably just be competitions. But there's just not as much need for the season's so far away, right? So in April, we're not necessarily trying to get them, quote unquote, ready for the season. When we get back in the summer, typically we'll try to bring them back right before July 4th, just to try to steal a week. When we get them in, typically we'll do some sort of, not necessarily a conditioning test, but we'll just see them run, right? And a lot of times you can tell where our guys are, if they've came back in shape, if they're where they need to be. And if they aren't, we put them through something to prepare them for that. If a guy comes back in shape, we're going to continue to develop whatever their weakness is. So any of our freshmen, any of our transfers, and any guys who come back out of shape, we have a group for them. So Coach Courtney will take them, and they'll be running work capacity stuff on the field. Like, we're just trying to get you in shape. The speed aspect isn't really going to come until we have enough capacity, right? In the weight room, heavy eccentric, heavy isometric. And we're just going to push that. We're going to go 5s, and they're going to go, some 5 seconds down, 5-second holds, like, build up the capacity within the muscle to prepare them for what they're going to accomplish. And then our freshmen, I can tell you about that. Our freshmen go through it in the fall, right? If you come back and, hey, you're a strength guy, came back in shape, we're standard 5x5s, getting down to those heavy sets when we get a little bit closer to the camp. But then, we're trying to train speed. We're going to train speed early, and we're going to hit the conditioning late. If you come back and you're already strong enough and you're doing that, we're hitting like weighted acceleration, isometrics, a lot of power clean, rate force development work, a lot of depth drops, depth jumps, trying to just create different stimulus to be able to get these guys kind of where they need. But they're going to jump, they're going to move some weight. But again, I don't see necessarily the point of trying to load these guys with a bar on their back all the time and just trying to really push weight because they can do that. That's a known thing, and I know when they go home, they're going to do that because that's what they love, right? So when we get kind of close to that season starting, getting into fall camp, we're going to start attacking the conditioning side of things, right? So we're still going to sprint a little bit to make sure we mitigate those. So we'll sprint twice, and our condition will be twice, and then we'll do a change direction day for that last day. But on our conditioning days, we're in Alabama, so it gets hot. Most of the time, we're going to try to train them in the morning through the summer. When we get to our conditioning days, we're going to start pulling them out there in the heat. So we'll build them up from an hour to get them up to that 2 hours and start to just get them used to it. So some of it will be change direction work, drills that would typically happen on the field, but we're not doing how they had to do them on the field, but something similar. We'll get guys running routes. And when I was at Bowling Green, I was with Sean Edgington, and he went to Syracuse. So their tempo, hurry up offense. And what they would do is play drives. So when they were doing these play drives, I'm like, okay, I kind of like that. And all they would do is they would sprint certain distance in X amount of time, get on the line, take their rest, do it again. So I just added to it a little bit. And so now we'll have 3 groups. My bigs, they're pushing a sled. They're pushing prowlers, heavy prowlers. They're going to go 3 to 5 seconds, get off, next guy's up. Push, and they'll just go through drive. So sometimes it'll be 4s, sometimes it'll be 6, 8, 12, whatever we decide on those days, and we'll just have cars for my coaches to run those. Our mids and our defensive guys, they're going to do a lot of reactionary stuff, so more like wave drill stuff, but we're going to ask them to sprint certain distances, right? Okay, you're going to sprint 10, backpedal 10, shuffle 5, sprint 5, okay? And all that is, we're putting a play in their mind, and they have to think when they're tired. They mess it up, we go back, and we do it again. but it allows us to just kind of prep them and build them. Our offensive guys, it's going to be less reactionary, more just, hey, we're changing, cutting, juking, spinning, doing those types of things. But, I mean, for that, like, we're always, I would say we're always ready for camp. Again, first day of camp, you're going to have cramps. You're going to have guys that fall out because it's just the excitement of it. You can't ever get a guy to understand how excited they're going to be at that during a summer session. So you can't always control everything, but we try to control as much as we can to prepare our guys.
And how do you maintain strength throughout the season?
Okay, so we did something a little bit different. We train 3 days a week now in season. So as we're going, we'll go Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. Sunday, we come back in this recovery. So we'll put basically high snap guys, low snap guys. With those high snap, we're going to tempo run, just get a little blood flow. They're going to go stay out there and do some prowler work. So we'll push prowlers in basically different ways. Okay, so trying to get some leg work from them. And then come inside, hit a quick circuit, and get them out. Our low snap guys, we'll get those guys to go run top speed because they didn't get it in the game before. And now we don't have GPS, so we just have to kind of guess on who those guys are going to be, right? But they'll then come in, and they'll be the ones back squatting. And we just linear progress them, start at, 70 for 5 and start to work our way up. Typically, we'll max them some point in the season before we go into a power phase at the end. But, I mean, we grow them that way. We tested a few guys after the season that did all the prowler work every week. And those guys, I mean, they were within 90% of their max. So, I mean, I was happy. I was good. I mean, it was something that I just kind of thought about and said, hey, man, like, we're loading their spine already on Saturday. Some of those guys, 50, 60, 70 times. Like, why continue to do that on Sunday? When we get into Tuesday, we'll hit single leg work, split squat, reverse lunge, some sort. Work a little bit of our shoulder work. And then on our Thursdays, our big bench day. And then just like dynamic kind of work, making sure we're prepped and primed for game day.
And talk about your Devo group in season.
Oh, yeah. They get it. The first
time.
Huh?
They're bought in.
Oh, yeah. No, they have to be. You absolutely have to be in our group. When they first get here, I don't even let them lift the first day. I let them ask questions. So while our travel guys are lifting, I'll have a conversation with these guys. What questions you have? What are you worried about? What do you not know? And after that, I'm going to just let them know. This is about to be the worst semester of your life. This is the worst time of your life because you went from being the star of your high school to being a nobody. Top of the depth chart, bottom of the depth chart. You probably got a girlfriend back home that's either cheating on you or going to break up with you because you're not home seeing her. You're going to get up early 4 days a week, and you're going to grind and go to work. And you're not going to play a single game for over a year. And so school's going to be harder. You don't have mom and dad telling you when to go to sleep, so now you're going to be tired all day. Like, it is going to be tough. But I promise you, every guy in this room has been through that. I have been through that. It's something that you have to go through, and you're going to be better for it. And anytime you think that you want to quit or you don't want to do this, any of these guys in this circle that are freshmen with you, they're going through the exact same thing. And you can always talk to these guys. So as we go, I mean, we set the standard day one, when to be here, what to wear, how we're going to attack our work. And if we don't attack it, we're going to run. So, man, we probably ran 200, maybe 300 110s this year. Like, just have to get it.
Now, you have the most interesting nutrition center I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
With your machine, the Slurpee machine.
Yep.
Tell everybody about your protein shake machine.
So we have it's a slushy machine. So it cools the protein and everything. It has 3 basically big containers that we put on there. You throw the protein in, mixes it for you. In a way it's good, in a way it's bad. Man, we got little cups there. They can take what they need to. We actually stole your PB&J recipe. We be doing that every morning now.
Yeah. Well, I tried to get the Slurpee machine at Delta State at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone thought I was crazy. They're like, no way we're doing that. I was like, dude, this is the best way to do it. But talk about the nutrition as well.
The nutrition here is good. Again, I think I'm blessed just the time that I came in here. We had I'm the fourth string coach to come through West Alabama. Joe Boyd kind of started this whole thing, figured out the ins and outs and how to get things kind of rolling. Coach Spratt came in here after that, continued to develop it, continued to develop the GA program to improve that. And then Coach White came in. He was here a short time, but he got the nutrition rolling. He talked to a bunch of the teams to be able to donate money to us to be able to roll and to get what we needed to. And then I was blessed when I got here, like, they quit buying because the GAs that we had to pay with our card and then get reimbursed. Well, none of our GAs want to pay for that, right? So none of that was happening. So we had a plethora of money when I got here to be able to do what we need to. So, I mean, we spent it. We used it. The next year, we got, I think $3,000 within the school budget. And then we still asked school teams. We tried to basically mitigate it. Okay, if you paid this year, we're going to try not to have you pay next year, right? The only one that has to is football, just because how much they use, right? So we're slowly working on trying to improve that. The head football coach has become the AD here now. So we have a really, really good relationship just since I've come in, just having conversations and trying to improve the program in every aspect. So he knows anytime I'm talking to him about something, it's to make us better. So, I mean, we're trying to slowly improve that. It's not like we have a Walmart where we can get a whole bunch of food from and all that stuff in town. So we do with what we got. We go to Sam's Club every now and again, buy bread as much as we can, and give the kids everything they need. Now, is everything they want or the best in the world? Absolutely not. But we found ways to kind of improve. We've been able to give weight gain shakes. At Northwestern, when I don't got all that money, heavy whipping cream, peanut butter, bananas. I mean, they were walking out with ice cream, and it was 600, 700 calories in one solo cup. It was awesome.
The coolest thing I heard was my mentor, he was at South Carolina, and they would get ice cream and melt it, and they would all drink it, just like chocolate milk. So 1,200 calories, just like that, to the dome.
Oh, yeah. I know one of our quarterbacks came in from Western Carolina, and he said anytime you didn't make weight on whatever that day was, you would have to come in, gun pump, and then drink these huge shakes before you were allowed to leave. He said it worked. I mean, he got huge.
So what are some future wants that you want to buy for the weight room? Any plans?
Wants. I mean, for us, I think it's just reallocating our space. So we have 15 racks, which is super nice, but there's not a ton of space. And I mean, everyone knows, at the end of the day, in a weight room, you need space to just be able to do things, move around. So, I mean, eventually we would love to be able to expand. We're getting a new locker room finally over here, so that's our first concern, and then hopefully this will be the next thing. But, we have a good relationship with the equipment company that we have. So he went to school here, so they'll help us quite a bit. But man, we have a decent budget to where we can get majority of what we want. I mean, obviously, I think the next step is, the GPS, trying to be able to just use a little bit of sports science within kind of what we're doing. And obviously, that's going to help sessions just run a little smoother. So instead of having to set up a dasher for a flying 10 and get top speeds, we can just have them race. We can just have them run. You get it, and you're saving yourself so much extra time to where you can put training and do other things with that. But I mean, as of now, we're in a good situation. I think we're staffed well. I would say protein and the nutrition side is probably the biggest thing we got to continue to improve on.
Yep, and you mentioned standard a lot. Is that the key word you use for all your teams? And explain that.
Yeah, the standard is the standard. So regardless of what you do, we have something that is set and we believe in. And if we want to do certain things, right, everyone has the same goal. Everyone wants to win a championship. Everyone wants to, be the best. And so when we do that, our two mantras are be the best, kind of what Clemson does. And so we talk through, brotherhood, effort, standards, toughness, right? And through that, we just realized that the standard has to be set. We went through a 5-5 year 2 years ago. Did not like it, not what we wanted. And so afterwards, I sat down with my head coach, and coming from the new guy in, I'm saying, hey, offense and defense, it's not bad. It's not a negative relationship, but there are different things that our defensive coordinators asking our guys to do, and our offense coordinators asking them something different. So we have to make sure we're on the same side. And that's just the standard. What is our standards within the program? And so some of it's as simple as phones off in meetings, bring in notebook and a pen, no hats in meetings, and making sure you have a shoe on instead of, slides. Simple, right? And then, hey, 5 minutes early, we're ready to go. Just creating what is the expectation. I talk about my development group. When they come in, we start with an eccentric of 10 seconds down, 5-second hold. And it's 25% of their max. But it's hey, if we drop the bar on this front squat, we're going outside and we're running. Because that is the standard that's set. And as long as we hold everyone to the same standard, we have to grow, we have to become better. And that's just what happens. And we just have to make sure everything we're doing aligns with our standard.
For sure. And, Coach, I just want to thank you for coming on the show. Is there any shout-outs you want to give?
Man, I appreciate my staff. I already shouted them once, but, again, they make everything happen. Without them, nothing. Obviously my AD and head coach, obviously the assistant coaches I'm working with, and my guys at Kentucky, I'll go see them. I think they're some of the best in the business. I think that they're not well known, but those guys really do something special with what they have. But yeah, shoot. Obviously my fiance Haley too. Having a girlfriend, fiance, wife in this field is difficult, especially football season, travel, all that stuff. So being able to have her around and, do the things that she doesn't want to do is helpful and beneficial to allow me to be great.
For sure. Very successful year. Want to give you congrats to that. And hopefully y'all get back into the playoffs.
No doubt. Congrats to you, too. That was a big time year for you guys. The way you guys dominated. It was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in, and if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. You can also follow us on Instagram for more updates at Under the Barbell Strength Podcast, and if you know someone who would love this episode, please share it with them.